I continuously get asked about the Shining Path. Now, I have answered this question on the last live. I answered it on the live before that. I'm telling you, I will repeat what I have said. I don't think highly of the Shining Path. You know, I mean, there was a peasantry in Peru that was suffering a lot. They did a lot to fight for the peasantry, but they had a sectarian and violent approach toward other leftists. They bombed the Chinese embassy. They assassinated other leftist groups. They could not make alliances. They engaged in brutal killings. And I just, you know, I mean, I'm glad they fought for the rights of peasants. I mean, that's something. But I don't have a lot of respect for them. I view them as an ultra-left group. And the fact that all that it took to end their revolution was arresting Gonzalo, right? And all the leaders captured, revolution over. That doesn't make me think very highly of them. And I'll tell you, when I've gone to international communist gatherings and when I meet with communists from Peru, every communist I've ever met from Peru hates the Shining Path and speaks of them as, I mean, they'll maintain their CIA agents and stuff like that. I don't maintain that. I don't think they're CIA agents. I think they're an ultra-leftist group. But I'm telling you, communists in Peru don't like the Shining Path, right? The Shining Path, I mean, it you know, very hostile, very, you know, hostile to Cuba, very hostile to other communist groups in Peru. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. You know, that said, the Fujimori dictatorship that they fought against, which came into power mainly because of panic, because of the Shining Path, was pretty brutal and awful. And the United States backed up a brutal military junta in Peru that brutally tortured people and did horrendous things. And that you can put the Shining Path, right? You can put the Shining Path in the same category as the Caracazo in Venezuela, as the Waco incident in the United States, David Koresh. You can put it in the same category as the Move House bombing in Philadelphia. That in that period where socialism was in decline, right? I mean, late 80s, early 90s, you had kind of a rise of different kind of utopian groups, you know, that organized oppressed people. Right, you know, and that, you know, the Move House bombing, right? That was a, you know, Move organization. I've interviewed Ramona Africa. I've interviewed Pam Africa. You know, they very much are a spiritual organization. They're utopians. They're environmentalists. They protested against the zoo in Philadelphia. They didn't deserve to be treated the way they were. To have to be that bombing. I mean, it was unbelievably unjustified, right? The same with, you know, David Koresh, right? I mean, and the people in Waco. I mean, you know, okay, were they a group that was doing some things, abusing children and maybe operating in a way that was problematic? Sure, but did they deserve to be blown up like that, to kill a compound full of people, 76 people killed? Of course not. You know, but when Marxism was in retreat, when the Marxist movement was in retreat, you had a rise of kind of utopian groups of some kind or other, be it religious utopian. And I put the Shining Path in the same category. They called themselves Maoists and Marxists, but if you look at their literature, they were very much a utopian organization. It was, you know, the Shining Path of Presidente Gonzalo, and the beheadings and the executing dogs, and yeah, I'm just not. Yeah, not digging it. And the same for the Naxals in India. I'm not a big fan. You know, this is an ultra-left deviation. This is something that if Mao were alive, he wouldn't approve of. You know, this was, you know, people that were trying to carry out Maoism. And you look at, like, in Nepal, the Communist Party of Nepal, Maoist, they succeeded. Right? They are a major party in Nepal. They're working, but they changed. In order to succeed, they had to break with that lunatic politics. The Communist Party of Nepal, Maoist, right? The the United Communist Party of Nepal. They support Xi Jinping. They are very close to the Bolivarian countries. They're working with the Belt and Road from China. They started out as one of those Shining Path ultra-left groups, you know. But as they liberated territory in the countryside, as the king was forced to step down and there was more political space in Nepal, they changed, right? They kind of did what the communists of Latin America did, right? When they were no longer forced to operate in the countrysides, they were able to operate in the cities, and they changed, and they actually got a lot more done. So I would point to that, right? That there are other groups from that tradition around the world that come out of that ultra-Maoist current. But some of them, the ones that are successful, Nicholas Ramos is talking about Mao on contradictions written down. The ones that are successful are ones that have broken with that mindset. have stopped being ultra-left, have joined coalitions, and started to get things done. And the ones that don't remain kind of isolated. The Naxals in India, have they made any progress in the last 10 years, 20 years? No. You know, they're kind of isolated. They rob people in the mountains, you know. But, you know, Communist Party of Nepal Maoist came from that tradition of the Gang of Four ultra-Maoism, but they changed, right? Shining Path, have they done anything? Well, Gonzalo got captured, game over. You know, I mean, there's still some, like, there's probably still some group somewhere up in the hills, but there you go. I don't have a high opinion of the Shining Path at all. I just don't. I mean, bombing the Cuban embassy, or bombing the Chinese embassy, you know, violence against other communist groups, hostility to organized labor in the Peruvian cities. I just can't admire that. I guess I admire the fact that they lifted up peasants, that they organized peasants to fight for their land. So, I mean, they obviously helped a lot of people. At the same time, they did bad things, but not a big fan. Not a big fan. I hope you don't ask me about that again, because I'll just tell you the same thing.